Welcome back, YouTube Nation. Boss Man with Reshart Ranch Small Engine Repair. Alright, let me give y'all a little bit of background on these two weed eaters. This Troy built 4-cycle to your left here. I've been having that one. I've cleaned all kind of stuff multiple times over the years. And it finally went kaput on me last weekend. And that's a 2009. Well, I have here a Husqvarna 128 LD. It's a 2-stroke, so I'm not super happy about going back to a 2-stroke because 4-stroke power is, I'm just so used to 4-stroke power. But anyway, the Husqvarna is a 2021, so it's a lot newer. So instead of keeping on fixing my 4-cycle weed eater, I figured, hey, look, I'm gonna save myself time in the long run of having to do multiple repairs. So instead of boring you to death with explaining what's going on, we're going to take this Husqvarna here. I have to change out the whole handle assembly. I'm going to completely change out the carburetor assembly. Normally I do not do that, but on this one, whenever I was checking it out to see if it was worth fixing, the trigger on it actually broke because the throttle plate in the carb got sticky and stuck. Well, it popped the cable inside, so we're going to change out this whole assembly right here, the carburetor. I'm going to completely redo all the fuel lines, and I'm going to try something different. I'm a tall guy. I do not like bending down too much to weed eat because, yeah, it does get to everybody. So we're going to take this handle off, and I got a surprise handle that I may do a review on. It's not a Darwin's grip because, don't get me wrong, I would have liked the Darwin's grip, but a little bit out my price range. It's a knockoff, nothing too fancy. But without further ado, let's get this one on the table, and I'll show y'all how to start tearing down if y'all need to do repairs on the handle or the carb. All right. All right, before we get started, I just want to let y'all know it is a shop. It stays halfway clean, but y'all just excuse my mess, or not. All right, here we go. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna completely take this handle assembly off, and I dropped something already. One of the important screws. I know in other YouTube channels and videos, you see a nice clean shop. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to have a nice clean shop, but I've just been way too busy to keep up with everything. Mostly during the wintertime, I'll clean up around here and get stuff situated halfway, but it never stays clean. I mean, I'm constantly sweeping up dust and all of that, so especially whenever I have an engine rebuild to do, I can't have that much dust in the shop because you get particles floating around and you'll have a bad build at the end of it. But anyway, let's get back to this this Husqvarna weed eater. All right, I had to take out 5 star head screws. And let's see. Okay. This is an old one, so if it gets broke, it gets broke. Not too concerned about the outcome of it. Okay, that was the hardest part. Flip it to the side. There we go. Okay, that's one part. Okay. Well, we see here my plastic shaft right here completely broke off for the trigger, and yeah, that's true. I disconnected my throttle cable, so okay. I have our handle part off. Gonna put that to the side right here. Now I'm gonna take my shaft itself off. And I see now I'll have to place me another screw right here because it is missing hardware. And since that this is gonna be my primary weed eater, I don't really want any missing parts while I'm operating this thing. I'm gonna just take this and place that to the side. Okay. And there went my handle. Well, the old trigger, not my handle. My handle's still on the table. That right there. Okay. All right. Let's get to the on-off switch connections and the throttle. And yes, all my air filter is going to be replaced and stuff like that. All right. Time for the air filter housing to come off, and that's at 8. Should have known that. Yeah. My ratchet's bending, if y'all wondering. It's my wobulator / swivel. I like to keep those on the end for certain things because it helps with friction whenever my hands or fingers are oily. Got my trusty magnet tray right there. All right. Have our throttle, as y'all can see right here. That's as much as I can move it. So if I could take the complete carb off, and don't worry about me breaking gas lines. My gas lines are already dry rotted, as you can see. So we're just gonna take that, move that to the back side. All right. The small clip sure is tough to come off. Okay, that is my old handle. All right, let me get reset up, and we'll get to the installation as soon as I get set up and clean up some of this stuff. We'll be back. All right, guys, I wound up taking this weed eater completely apart, all the plastic parts off. Whenever I took my back cover off because I seen a dirt dabble in this, and then I'm like, well, let me just go ahead and strip it down. I found a huge one right here. Go ahead and clean the fins out as well. Like I said, this one's going to be my primary weed eater that I will use, so I want it as tip-top shape as I can get it without it giving me problems in the long run. Gives me a chance to check out my clutch, which it's in pretty good shape. My coil, which it is also in pretty good shape. Like I said, I just got a whole bunch of dirt daubler nests. It's been sitting up for a couple of years. Buddy of mine purchased a brand new one, so he gave it to me just in case I needed it for parts. And now I'm going to wind up using it. Okay. We're almost done getting all the dirt daubler stuff off of here, so afterwards we're going to put it back together. I ain't going to bore you with all this cleaning stuff, so I'll be back. Alright, and we are back. Well, what I had to wind up doing is completely disassembling everything, because like I said, it's been sitting up for quite a few years. So I went ahead and I cleaned everything just to make sure nothing is overlooked and it does start at first crank. So what we're going to do first off is reassemble the intake. Okay, so can't forget our little spacer pad right here. Okay, it goes just like that. Okay, now very important, if you did take this off, have the groove, your little gasket, that'll make all the difference. Alright, now we're going to drop our long studs back through, threads down on the same side of that brown gasket. Okay, that is our carburetor bolts. Okay, now we're going to place them back in. Okay, take our two small, give me a second, our two small bolts that bolt our manifold on, and screw those back in. This one's being a little difficult with me. Okay. Get my extension. Now we're going to go ahead and start tightening our manifold bolts up. How? That hurt. I got a little pecan. Little metal piece. Probably can't see it, but it got me. Not every day I get stuck in a video by a little metal burr. So you got to see a little surprise. Okay. Now that our intake is back on, we are going to mount our exhaust. Just coming off of that. Alright. Mount our exhaust gasket on, our muffler. Okay, go ahead and tighten. Y'all excuse the air compressor. Got a slight leak in my hose. I'll go ahead and tighten the muffler back up. Okay, muffler's back on. Now, what we're gonna go ahead and do is assemble our gas tank and our rear cover. Okay, just remember this little square part right here is made for the insert of the gas tank. Make sure it does fit on there flush like that. Okay. Okay. Now give me a second. I forgot my other tool on the other bench. All right, we're back. Okay. We're assembling our rear cover. There we go. Our pull string housing. Now, do note our pull string housing holds the whole rear cover together, so you'll need to install those together. Y'all give me a second. It's being difficult with me. All right. I got my rear cover on. Just remember, you have to put the gas tank in the rear cover, then your pull string housing holds everything on. So I got that assembled. Now, make sure the sponge gasket is in the proper grooves, which it is. Okay. So now, I'm going to flip over to the other side and install my front cover. Put all my bolts in the front cover so I wouldn't lose them. Right. Take the 4 little ones out. Make sure, very important, before I forget as well, make sure your coil wire is in the spot where it needs to be. Should fall right back in place. All the little grooves. Okay. Front cover. Now remember, these doesn't always go on very easy. You're gonna have to work with them. Also, a big reason is because of that cushion. A little pick right here to push the cushion down. My spark plug wire is falling into place. Yep, sure is. Okay. Okay. Put my 4 little screws back in. Something is not aligned correctly. Alright, we back. I was having trouble getting the front housing cover on because my my little cushion up here kept on wanting to push my whole housing this way, so I had to slowly wiggle it on. But another thing that I did, these 4 screws secures the housing to the aluminum body itself. So I went ahead and put a little bit of blue Loctite on it. Also, these 2 secures everything to the aluminum housing. All right, now finish up on my exhaust. Go ahead and put my heat shield on. Oh, there we go. Now it's in place. Okay. And these don't have to be super tight. You just tighten plastic to plastic. Now for a side cover. Again, not super tight, just plastic to plastic. All right, that takes care of our exhausts. Okay, our pull string housing is freed up. Now, throw our little gasket back on. Nope, 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 nope. Like a little jigsaw puzzle, there we go. And we hit a snag. Can you see it? Yep. Forgot about that gasket. It was laying on the side, so hey, I'm not perfect. I do make mistakes. let's see if I can get this gasket in without having to take everything back off. And once again, I'll be back. All right, gonna go ahead and put our intake gasket back on. This one goes behind the carburetor. All right. Let's open up our box for our brand new carburetor. As y'all can see, it comes with the whole kit. Well, since we got a new gasket like that, guess what? The new gasket is going to go on. So we're going to discard that one. Let's see. This one comes with 2 new air filters, a brand new carb gasket. Wow. This one is crazy. There we go. Like this. Crazy thick, which is a good thing. Alright. Now we're in style. Also comes with the inner or outer carb gasket. New fuel line. All kinds of stuff in here. Primer bulbs, more primer bulbs. Main piece, our carb, a new spark plug, and a fuel filter. All right. So here we go, nice and pretty. And I guess I need to go ahead and fit my lines before I hook up my throttle. See the carb fits first. Seems to have a little resistance somewheres. Oh, wait. Have our little plug gasket. That's probably why we had resistance somewhere. There we go. All right. So what we're going to go ahead and do is make our lines from the carb into the gas tank. All right. Go ahead and get our hose in here. I went ahead and stuck it in, but before I stuck it in, tell you easy trick. I cut this hose to a point, twisted it in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach in there, grab my hose, slowly pull while I feed it. There's very little bit I have to grab onto, so it's going to take me 2 tries, hopefully. So I'm gently pulling while I push. And it's coming. I'm going to have to re-grab my hose. Feel it stretching and I'm bottoming out in the tank. Now, whenever you do this, you don't want to just up and pull your hose. You want to grab it as close as you can where it's entering the tank from the inside and help pull in the inside of the tank and push from the outside of the tank, because I have just pulled from the inside of the tank and I've done popped brand new line before. So what I'm trying to do as of right now is get enough hose to where I know my hose will reach the very edge of the inside of my tank. Plus at this moment I'm putting my filter on, so just pulling enough length to do both. That should give me plenty enough length to put my filter on. Alright, want to be safe? There you go. Put it hanging. Grab my cutting pliers. And like I said, I cut a point to it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to square off my line to where it's flat, to where my new filter could go on now. Take my fuel filter, put it in my gas line, and now what I'm going to do is just stick my whole fuel filter in, take my pliers, push it down, and give it a little tap. It should be pretty much at the end of my tank. Can't really see my filter, but if I take a look at my line inside, my line does have slack. So I'm gonna pull me a little slack. I want to hear my fuel filter jiggle a little bit. All right, that's the jiggle. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, since I do have enough line, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it right here, but I'm gonna have to cut it again. Still have plenty enough line for my exhaust, my guy's return, excuse me. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take another measurement, get set up with my guy's return line, because there's one part that I like to put inside that prevents my line from actually pulling out. Let me go find it and we'll be back. Alright, it took me a little bit to find it because I only had one left, but it's usually what I put on the inside of the tank on the gas return line. Just a little plug that still lets fuel return to your tank without you having to pull your line, or sometimes your line will pressurize and pop out. So putting that on, I'll pull my guy's return line back through. Until my plug is flush with the inside of my tank. Now you don't want to put the plug sticking into your tank with the hose around it. So normally what I'll do is I'll pull it till I feel it stop. And in this instance, that is it. Alright, put my gasket on for the back side of my carb. It was a very thick gasket. My threads did not want to have it on. Okay. Now I'll put my carburetor on to see where I'm going to cut my lines at. Okay. know how good y'all can see this, but I need to trim my guy's intake line very little. So I'm gonna take off about a half an inch, a quarter. Let's do a quarter just to be safe for right now. The guy's return line wants to get in my way. Okay, that was good for the guy's return line. Sorry, the guy's intake line. Now for my guy's return line. Okay. And your hoses don't have to be perfect in length. As long as they're not touching any metal and will melt in the long run, or you don't have excess hose and it gets kinked or something, or it's just too much line for the primer bulb and the carburetor to pull the fuel through. So I had my mark right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut a half inch further upwards. Be safe. Okay. Like I said, they don't have to look pretty. They just have to work. After all, that is the whole point to doing this. Okay, I got my whole intake line on. Now I'm getting my guy's return line on. It is completely on. And don't know how good y'all can see that, but not touching anything metal. But where it's at, it's still a little too close to my engine block for comfort. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my guy's return line back off. I'm gonna cut about another quarter of an inch off of it, and I should be good. No, I will be good. Okay. Go ahead and cut that excess off. Put my return line back on. And voila. It actually come out pretty good. All right. Now I'm going to reinstall my shaft. So y'all give me a little bit. I got to clean up my mess right here, and then we're gonna install the shaft. After that, I'm gonna connect my new handle, and we'll finish wrapping the carb up. We'll be back. So the next clip you're about to see, Boss Lady and I noticed the audio went out on the videos while putting them together. So what I'm gonna do is narrate through this next clip of everything I'm doing, from the handle installation to the throttle connection and all the wires. It's not gonna be a lot of talking, but my narration along with the video is gonna be hand in hand, pretty much on. There may be a lag here and there, but you follow these instructions from my voice to the clips, you'll come out good. All right, now I am installing my handle onto my shaft. The 4 screws I'm pointing to, I installed them into the handle slightly. I did not tighten it up. The reason is I do not want to disassemble my handle fully. This also still allows me to slide the handle onto my shaft. So at this point I have my shaft facing up. I want to make sure my handle is flush with the body of my Weedeater's engine. I'm going to go ahead and tighten my 2 bottoms screws. Now tightening my 2 top screws. That's the ones towards the trigger. Now in my case, I do not have hardware to hold the shaft on to the body of the Weedeater, so I improvised with some hardware that's around my shop. I'm gonna screw the bolt all the way in till it bottoms out, and I also have a flat washer and a nut. What the flat washer and the nut's purpose is, I'm gonna screw it all the way in, and that's gonna allow my handle to be secured to the shaft of the Weedeater without sliding forward. I'll eventually cut the excess off after the repair. Now I'm flipping it over. Gonna finish addressing these wires. This is my kill switch wire that I'm hooking up to the ignition coil. The start stop switch that's on my handle, whenever I press stop, it's gonna kill my ignition coil. Now I'm loosening up and taking off the hardware for my carburetor. Pulling my carburetor forward slightly. I install my throttle cable onto my carburetor. And I'm taking my plastic retainer, snapping it back onto the clip that's on the plastic body from a Weedeater. There we go. Hold my carb secured, make sure that my throttle cable and trigger do work properly. Put it on choke. And this kit came with multiple gaskets, so I wasn't sure which one it was. It had a couple of different holes in two of the gaskets, so here I'm just test fitting one gasket. I didn't see it working and matching up on the carb, so I went to my air filter housing, which it was a perfect fit for there. So swap it to my carb, install it right there, and now I'm installing my air filter housing. Now the space that I had to work with to put my nuts on the air filter housing was really small, so I'm using my 8mm socket with an extension to screw the hardware on to secure my air filter housing itself. Now do note, whenever you tighten up your air filter housing, you do not want to go extremely tight, because the bolts coming from the carburetor, these bolts actually go into a rubber intake boot that is mounted on your intake. So you don't want to strip the bolts out of the rubber intake boot. Okay, my air filter was a tad bit too big, but I wasn't worried about it because my air filter cover went on with no problem. So there you have it. Please stay tuned. We're gonna finish the video in the next clip. The repairs are complete on the Husqvarna. I did run out of time yesterday because I got excited. I put my handle on before finishing the video, which I did make another video of this while I was putting it on. So y'all go check that one out. It's awesome. It makes holding the Weedeater a lot more comfortable. So let's check out our finished product. I already primed it 10 times. Starts right up. Well, that'll do it for our Husqvarna weed eater. Hope this video was helpful for you guys. Until next time, I'm Boss Man with Richard Ranch. Don't forget, like and subscribe. God loves you. He wants you to prosper. Y'all go be blessed.